The emergency alarms aboard the UES Concordia pierced through Captain Sarah Chen's meditation, yanking her back to reality. Her quarters' ambient lighting shifted to alert red as her AI assistant's voice filled the room. Captain, unidentified vessel detected at the edge of the Arcturus system. Energy signature matches no known configuration. Sarah was already moving, muscle memory guiding her hands as she secured her uniform. Configuration, Nova. Organic composition. Approximately 2.4 kilometers in length. No conventional propulsion systems detected. It appears to be swimming through space, Captain. Swimming through vacuum. Sarah allowed herself a small smile as she strode onto the bridge. First contact scenarios were what the Concordia was built for, but this promised to be interesting. Status report, she commanded, settling into her captain's chair. Her bridge crew, hand-picked for their adaptability and quick thinking, were already at their stations. Lieutenant Rodriguez, her sensor officer, spoke first. The vessel is maintaining position at the system's edge, Captain. We're detecting complex neural activity throughout its structure. If I didn't know better, I'd say the ship itself is alive. It is, Commander Jackson, her xenobiologist, interjected. And it's not alone. I'm picking up at least 30 more signatures entering the system. They're moving information. Sarah studied the holographic display showing the massive bioships approach. Their movement was haunting, graceful undulations that shouldn't be possible in space. Dark shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Open all frequencies, she ordered. Let's say hello. The response came not through their communication systems, but directly into their minds. A presence vast and ancient, carrying with it the weight of countless stars. We are the Night Stalkers. You have entered our hunting grounds. Sarah felt her crew's collective tension. Humanity had encountered numerous alien species since achieving FTL travel, but never anything like this. She kept her voice steady, knowing her response would set the tone for this encounter. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Concordia. We come seeking peaceful contact and exchange of knowledge. A ripple of what might have been amusement touched their minds. Your kind interests us, human. You do not flee. You do not attack. Curious. We've learned that fear and aggression aren't always the best responses to the unknown, Sarah replied. Would you be willing to meet face to face? Our ship can accommodate visitors of various sizes and environmental needs. The silence that followed was heavy with consideration. Finally, the response came, agreed. Prepare for our arrival. The next few hours were a flurry of activity as the Concordia's crew readied their largest receiving bay. Sarah stood at the entrance, her senior staff beside her, as a portion of the bay's wall seemed to turn liquid, rippling like dark water. From it emerged a being that defied conventional description. 12 feet tall, its body seemed to shift between solid and shadow, with multiple limbs that appeared and disappeared as needed. Its head bore no recognizable features except for eyes, dozens of them, glowing with an inner light that spoke of profound intelligence. Sarah stepped forward, maintaining her composure even as her heart raced. Welcome aboard the Concordia. The Night Stalker studied her with several of its eyes. You are not afraid, it observed. Even your body's autonomic responses show more curiosity than fear. How is this possible? Humanity has a long history of turning predators into partners, Sarah explained. From wolves that became dogs to big cats that guard our temples. We learned long ago that mutual respect often yields better results than fear. The being moved closer, its form rippling. You speak truth. We have observed many species, hunted many prey. But none have ever looked upon us as you do now. With understanding. Understanding is what we seek, Sarah replied. The galaxy is vast, and we believe there's room for all kinds of life to coexist and learn from each other. Perhaps. The Night Stalker's form solidified slightly. We have ruled these sectors for millennia, feared by all who traverse the void. Yet your small ship approached without hesitation. Your mind reaches out to touch ours without terror. This deserves further study. We would welcome that, Sarah said, allowing herself to feel the full weight of this moment. Humanity's first contact with the Night Stalkers could have ended in violence or retreat. Instead, it was opening the door to something unprecedented. The Night Stalker extended what appeared to be a limb, its surface shimmering like oil on water. I am Void Dancer, Elder Hunter of the Third Fleet. We accept your offer of exchange, Captain Sarah Chen. Let us see what our species might learn from each other. As Sarah reached out to touch the offered limb, she felt a subtle shift in the air, the moment when history changes course. The crew watched in amazement as human hand met shadow flesh, and where they touched, a soft light bloomed. Fascinating, Void Dancer communicated. Your species possesses qualities we have not encountered before. The Council must be informed of this. The Council? Sarah asked, withdrawing her hand slowly. The Galactic Council. They believe they rule these spaces, though they fear to enter our territory. Your ability to bridge the gap between their realm and ours, this will change many things. Sarah smiled. Change is what humanity does best. As the Night Stalkers began sharing their initial observations and requirements for continued contact, Sarah couldn't help but feel pride in her species' unique approach to the unknown. Where others saw monsters, humanity had once again found potential allies. The real work, and the real challenges, were just beginning. The Galactic Council chamber was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. Carved from a single massive crystal, it housed representatives from over 300 species. Energy beings flickered like auroras in containment fields, while methane breathers floated in specialized environmental bubbles. At the chamber's heart, the Council's inner circle, the 12 most influential species in known space, regarded the human delegation with varying degrees of skepticism and alarm. You cannot be serious, High Counselor Zextal's crystalline form pulsed with agitation. The Night Stalkers are apex predators, void hunters who have terrorized civilized space for millennia. And you propose cooperation. Sarah stood firm, Void Dancer's towering form beside her casting shifting shadows across the chamber floor. With respect, High Counselor, perhaps it's time to reevaluate old assumptions. In the 3 months since first contact, human ships have established regular communication with Night Stalker fleets. We've already begun collaborative research. Research, interrupted Counselor Miravan, her feathered crest rising in agitation. Or are they simply studying us, learning our weaknesses before they strike? If we wish to strike, Void Dancer's thoughts resonated through the chamber, causing several council members to flinch. We would not need subterfuge. Yet here we stand, seeking dialogue rather than dominance. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and telepathic broadcasts. Sarah caught fragments of argument, fears of human recklessness, accusations of Night Stalker manipulation, demands for isolation and containment. She waited for the chaos to subside before speaking again. We propose a demonstration, she said, her voice cutting through the diminishing clamor. A joint mission. Something to prove that humans and Night Stalkers can work together for the benefit of all. High Counselor Zextal's crystalline facets shifted in what Sarah had learned was their equivalent of a contemplative frown. What kind of demonstration? The Void Maze, Void Dancer suggested, multiple eyes focusing on the Council. The trial ground where we test our young hunters. No non-Night Stalker has ever survived its challenges. Let Captain Chen attempt it, with one of our hunters as her partner. The chamber fell silent. The Void Maze was legendary, a space-time anomaly the Night Stalkers had claimed as their training ground. Stories of ships that entered and never returned were told throughout the galaxy. And if she fails? Counselor Miravan asked. Then humanity will withdraw our proposal for cooperation, Sarah replied steadily, ignoring the surprised murmur from her staff. But if we succeed, the Council must formally recognize the potential of human-Night Stalker relations. After hours of debate and negotiation, the terms were set. Sarah would enter the Void Maze with a young Night Stalker hunter named Eclipse. Success meant completing 3 challenges within the maze's twisted spacetime. Failure meant death. The maze didn't allow for rescue missions. As Sarah prepared in her quarters aboard the Concordia, Commander Jackson voiced her concerns. Captain, the mortality rate in the Void Maze is irrelevant, Sarah interrupted, checking her specialized void suit one last time. We need this, Maria. Humanity is still seen as the galaxy's newcomers, barely out of our gravity well. The Night Stalkers are seen as monsters to be feared. Together, we can change both perceptions. Eclipse materialized through her quarters wall, its younger, smaller form still impressive at 9 feet tall. It is time, Captain Chen. Are you prepared to face the Void's trials? Sarah sealed her helmet. Ready. And please, call me Sarah. The journey to the Void Maze was silent, filled with anticipation. The maze itself was beautiful in its terrible way, a twisted knot of space where normal physics went to die. As their shuttle approached, Sarah could see why it inspired such fear. Light bent wrongly around it, and her instrument struggled to make sense of its readings. The first challenge tests courage, Eclipse communicated as they prepared to enter. The second tests wisdom. The third tests trust. Many fail at the first. None have reached the third. Then we'll make history, Sarah replied, double-checking her neural link with Eclipse. The technology allowing direct communication with Night Stalkers was new, developed in those frantic 3 months of collaboration. Together, they entered the maze, and reality fractured around them. The first challenge manifested as a corridor of shifting gravitational fields, each powerful enough to crush their shuttle like an eggshell. Eclipse's natural ability to swim through space would be useless here, the forces were too strong. The patterns, Sarah muttered, watching the gravity waves ripple. They're not random. Eclipse, can you sense the temporal fluctuations? Yes. But understanding them and surviving them are different challenges. Sarah smiled behind her helmet. Not if we combine your spatial awareness with human pattern recognition. Watch. She began plotting a course through the gravity waves, using Eclipse's sensory input to refine her calculations. Together, they wove through the deadly fields, their shuttle dancing between forces that could have torn apart a capital ship. As they emerged from the first challenge, Sarah felt Eclipse's surprise. No other species has recognized the patterns so quickly. Perhaps this is why you do not fear us. You see patterns where others see only chaos. That's part of it, Sarah agreed, already studying the second challenge, a maze of quantum probability storms where cause and effect had only a passing acquaintance. Now, let's show them what trust really means. The Council watched through the maze's monitoring systems as Human and Night Stalker faced the impossible together. And for the first time in known history, the impossible began to yield. The quantum storms of the second challenge howled around their shuttle, reality fracturing and reforming with each passing moment. Sarah's hands flew across the controls while Eclipse's consciousness merged with the ship's sensors, both of them working in perfect synchronization. Probability cascade incoming. Sarah called out as a wave of quantum fluctuations threatened to rewrite their very existence. Eclipse, we need your void sense. Threading the needle, Eclipse responded, its form rippling with concentration. Through their neural link, Sarah felt the Night Stalker's awareness expand, detecting paths of stability through the chaos. Together, they guided their craft through gaps in reality that existed for microseconds. The second challenge fell behind them, but there was no time for celebration. The third and final challenge loomed ahead, a section of the maze that seemed to devour light itself. The trust trial, Eclipse communicated, a note of uncertainty in its thoughts. No being has ever. Then let's be the first, Sarah interrupted. What exactly are we facing? The void will separate us. All sensors will fail. All communications except our neural link will go dark. We must navigate through total darkness, trusting each other completely, or we will be lost forever. Sarah took a deep breath, remembering the council chamber, the doubting faces, the centuries of fear and mistrust they were working to overcome. Then we trust. That's what partners do. They entered the darkness, and the universe vanished. Sarah felt the shuttle systems go dark, felt Eclipse's physical form dissolve into the void. Only their neural link remained, a thin thread of connection in absolute nothingness. I am here, Eclipse's thoughts came through, strained but clear. But I cannot see. Cannot feel the void currents. I can't see either, Sarah replied, fighting down panic. But maybe that's the point. This isn't about what we can see. It's about what we believe. She closed her eyes, focusing on their connection. You're a void hunter. Your people have navigated the darkest spaces between stars for millennia. Trust that instinct. And your people turned wolves into guardians, found beauty in the eyes of predators. Trust your human intuition. Together, they reached out, not with sensors or sight, but with something deeper. Sarah felt Eclipse's ancient hunter's instincts merge with her human capacity for intuitive leaps. In the perfect darkness, they began to move. Minutes stretched into hours as they navigated the void, guided only by their trust in each other. Several times, Sarah felt reality trying to tear them apart, but they held on to their connection, their shared belief that they could succeed where all others had failed. When light finally returned, they found themselves outside the void maze. The Council's observation ships hung in space around them, their sensors recording the historic moment. They had done it. They had conquered the unconquerable. Well done, Sarah Chen, Eclipse's thoughts carried warmth and respect. You have proven what no other has dared to imagine, that trust can bridge any void. Back in the council chamber, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. Where there had been skepticism and fear, now there was cautious wonder. High Counselor Zextal's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been embarrassment. In all our recorded history, the High Counselor began, no species has ever completed the void maze trials. Yet a human and a Night Stalker, working together, succeeded where all others failed. Perhaps we have allowed our fears to blind us to possibilities. Counselor Miravan's feathers had shifted to a deep blue of respect. The question before us now is not whether to allow human Night Stalker cooperation, but how best to facilitate it. Sarah stepped forward, Eclipse beside her. We have a proposal. The Night Stalkers know the deep void better than any species. Humanity has a gift for turning the unknown into the familiar. Together, we could explore regions of space that have been deemed too dangerous for conventional ships. Our hunters grow restless in known space, Void Dancer added, materializing from the shadows. The humans offer us new challenges, new hunting grounds in the spaces between galaxies. In return, we offer protection and guidance through the dark. The council chambers erupted in discussion, but this time the tone was different. Species that had been hereditary enemies found themselves considering new possibilities. If humans and Night Stalkers could turn fear into trust, what other ancient assumptions might be challenged? As the council debated the specifics of the new accord, Sarah turned to Eclipse. Thank you for trusting me in there. And thank you, Sarah Chen, for showing us that there are hunts more satisfying than those that end in prey. Perhaps that is your species' greatest gift, the ability to transform hunters into guardians without diminishing what we are. Sarah smiled, watching as representatives from various species began approaching them, asking about joint missions and cultural exchange programs. The galaxy was changing, one act of trust at a time. Through their neural link, she felt Eclipse's anticipation. The void between galaxies awaits, Sarah. Shall we show them what human ingenuity and Night Stalker prowess can achieve together? Lead the way, partner, Sarah replied. The real hunt is just beginning. The distress signal came from the edge of known space, where the Andromeda Exploration Initiative had established its farthest outpost. Sarah and Eclipse had been mapping void currents in a nearby sector when the transmission cut through their communications. This is Research Station Omega. We're under attack by something from the intergalactic void. They're unlike anything we've, static, help us. They're consuming the message dissolved into chaos. Sarah felt Eclipse's concern pulse through their neural link. Those sounds in the background, they should not exist in normal space. Concordia, prepare for emergency jump, Sarah commanded. Their ship, now a hybrid of human technology and Night Stalker bioengineering, responded instantly. The void between stars rippled as they accelerated beyond conventional physics. They emerged near Station Omega, and Sarah's blood ran cold. The research station was partially phased out of reality, its structure flickering between dimensions. Around it swarmed creatures that defied description, beings of anti-light that seemed to eat away at the fabric of space itself. Void parasites, Eclipse's thoughts carried ancient dread. The legends were true. They hunger not for matter or energy, but for reality itself. Station Omega, this is Captain Chen. Hold on. Sarah's fingers flew across the neural interface as she linked with both Eclipse and their ship's hybrid systems. Can we establish a rescue corridor? Yes, but the parasites will detect us. They will. The warning came too late. One of the void parasites turned its attention toward them, and Sarah felt reality buckle. Alarms screamed as portions of the Concordia began to phase out of normal spacetime. All hands, emergency protocols. Sarah commanded. Eclipse, we need void shields. The Night Stalker's form merged with the ship's biosystems, extending a barrier of living shadow around them. It held against the parasite's attack, but only barely. We cannot save the station alone, Eclipse communicated. These creatures, they are beyond even our hunting abilities. Sarah watched in horror as another section of Station Omega vanished, along with the crew members inside it. Send an emergency broadcast to both the Council and the Night Stalker fleets. Authorization, Chenvoid Alpha. The message went out, carrying with it sensor data of the attack. Within minutes, responses began flooding in. The galaxy was mobilizing, but would help arrive in time. A new voice cut through their communications, High Counselors Extau. Captain Chen, your data confirms our worst fears. The void parasites were sealed away eons ago by the combined efforts of the elder races. If they have returned, then we fight, Sarah declared. Not as separate species, but as guardians of reality itself. Eclipse, can your people coordinate with the Council fleets? Yes. The hunt calls, and we will answer. But Sarah, these creatures nearly destroyed the galaxy once before. The cost of victory was devastating. That was before, Sarah replied, her mind already formulating strategies. Before humans joined the galaxy. Before we proved that different species could work together in new ways. The first reinforcements began arriving, Night Stalker bioships moving in perfect formation with Council battlecruisers. Sarah felt a surge of pride as she watched human ships slip into the gaps between them, their crews linked with Night Stalker partners through neural interfaces based on her original design. This is Captain Sarah Chen to all ships, she broadcast. The enemy we face threatens not just our lives, but reality itself. But look around you, species that once feared each other now fight side by side. We've already proven the impossible is possible. Now let's prove it again. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. Void parasites swarmed from the darkness between galaxies, their hunger insatiable. But they faced something unprecedented, a unified defense force of predator and prey species, their strengths combined in ways never before attempted. Night Stalker Void Sense guided human tactical innovations. Council energy weapons were channeled through living shadow matter to create effects that shouldn't have been possible. And at the heart of it all, the Concordia danced through space-time, Sarah and Eclipse's bond serving as an example of what could be achieved through trust. Station Omega, prepare for emergency extraction. Sarah called out as they carved a path through the parasites. All ships, convergence pattern Delta. The rescue operation was unlike anything in galactic history. Night Stalker bioships extended fields of stabilized reality, allowing Council vessels to lock onto the station's surviving crew. Human ships provided cover fire with weapons that twisted physics in ways that even the void parasites couldn't predict. But as the last survivors were evacuated, Sarah realized this was only the beginning. Through their neural link, Eclipse shared ancient memories, knowledge passed down through generations of void hunters. They will keep coming, Eclipse warned. This is merely their first wave. The void between galaxies stirs with their hunger. Sarah watched as Station Omega finally collapsed, creating a rift in spacetime that pulsed with ominous energy. Then we'll be ready. Humanity faced extinction-level threats before we reached the stars. The Night Stalkers have guarded the void since before recorded history. And the Council races have technologies we're only beginning to understand. She opened a channel to all ships. This is Captain Chen. Today, we faced an enemy that nearly destroyed our ancestors. But we are not our ancestors. We are stronger together than any of us could be alone. And together, we will find a way to end this threat once and for all. The assembled fleet, the first truly unified force in galactic history, moved into defensive formation around the rift. The Void War had begun, but this time, the galaxy faced it as one. The greatest hunt of all time, Eclipse mused through their link. "Shall we lead the way, partner?" Sarah smiled grimly. "Always. Concordia, plot a course into the void. It's time to take the fight to them." 6 months into the Void War, the galaxy had changed beyond recognition. The Concordia's command center, once a traditional starship bridge, now resembled something from a fever dream. Holographic displays merged with living shadow matter, while Council technologists worked alongside Night Stalker void sensors. Sarah stood at its heart, her neural interface humming with data from 1,000 ships. "The parasites are adapting," she announced to the assembled War Council. "Each attack shows new tactics, new abilities to corrupt reality. They learn from each defeat," Eclipse added, its form rippling with concern. "The void between Andromeda and the Milky Way has become their breeding ground." High Counselor Zexdal's holographic form shimmered. "Our scientists have analyzed the data from the last engagement. The parasites aren't just consuming reality, they're using it to create something. A new form of spacetime that only they can inhabit." Sarah felt Eclipse's realization match her own. "They're not just attacking, they're terraforming the universe itself." The revelation hit the War Council like a physical blow. If the void parasites succeeded, they would reshape all of existence, making it uninhabitable for any form of life except their own. "There might be a way," Sarah said slowly, her mind racing through possibilities. "Eclipse, remember the trust trial in the void maze? How we navigated through pure nothingness?" "Yes. By trusting in something beyond physical senses. The parasites operate on a similar principle, they navigate through reality by sensing its fundamental patterns." Sarah turned to the Council representatives. "What if we could change those patterns? Not just in normal space, but in the void itself?" Counselor Miravan's feathers bristled with excitement. "The ancient quantum harmonics. Our archives speak of technology that could resonate with the fabric of spacetime. And the Night Stalkers can navigate the spaces between realities," Sarah continued. "If we combine that with human intuitive problem-solving." The plan that emerged was audacious to the point of insanity. The Council's quantum harmonics would be integrated into Night Stalker bioships, guided by human neural interfaces. Together, they would dive into the heart of the parasite's breeding ground and attempt to rewrite the fundamental laws of the void itself. "This is beyond dangerous," Admiral Zhang of the human fleet warned. "If we fail, we could unravel reality across both galaxies. If we do nothing, the parasites will do worse," Sarah countered. "This is what humanity does, we take impossible situations and find a way through." The preparation took weeks. Every surviving shipyard worked at full capacity, modifying vessels for the final push. Sarah spent countless hours in neural synchronization with Eclipse, preparing for the deepest void dive ever attempted. The day of the operation arrived. 10,000 ships gathered at the edge of known space, the largest fleet ever assembled. At its heart, the Concordia led a special task force of hybrid vessels, each crewed by representatives of all three major powers. "All ships, final checks," Sarah broadcast. "Remember your training. Remember why we fight. But most importantly, remember that we fight together." The fleet entered the void in waves. Reality grew thin, then began to tear. Through their neural link, Sarah felt Eclipse's primal fear warring with determination. The void parasites sensed them coming, swarming toward them in numbers that defied comprehension. "Now!" Sarah commanded. "Quantum resonance, full power." The modified ships activated their harmonics, sending waves of altered reality rippling through the void. The parasites reacted instantly, their forms writhing as the familiar patterns they navigated by began to shift. "They resist," Eclipse warned. "The void itself fights against change. Push harder." Sarah gritted her teeth as feedback surged through the neural interface. Every ship, every species, working as one. The battle that followed transcended normal understanding. Reality buckled and warped as the fleet fought to reshape the void while the parasites fought to consume them. Ships were lost, crews sacrificed themselves to maintain the resonance pattern, but slowly, inexorably, the void began to change. Through it all, the Concordia drove deeper, Sarah and Eclipse guiding their hybrid ship toward the heart of the parasite swarm. Their neural link, strengthened by months of war and years of trust, held firm against the chaos. "Final phase," Sarah announced, her voice strained. "All ships, converge on our position. We end this now." The fleet moved as one, focusing all their power through the Concordia's enhanced systems. Sarah felt Eclipse's consciousness merge completely with hers, their combined awareness expanding to encompass the altered void. In that moment, they understood. The void parasites weren't evil, they were simply following their nature. But nature, as humanity had learned long ago, could be guided rather than fought. Adjusting resonance frequency, Sarah called out. "We're not trying to destroy the void, we're teaching it a new pattern." The quantum harmonics shifted, creating not destruction but transformation. The parasites, faced with a void that no longer responded to their hunger, began to change. Their forms twisted, adapted, and finally stabilized into something new. When reality finally settled, the void between galaxies had been transformed. The parasites remained, but they had evolved into something different, void guardians, maintaining the new patterns that allowed normal space and void space to coexist. "Stand down quantum harmonics," Sarah ordered, exhaustion evident in her voice. Status report from all ships. The casualties had been heavy, but they had succeeded. The Void War was over, not through destruction but through transformation, the most human solution of all. "We have created something unprecedented," Eclipse observed as they watched the former parasites taking up their new roles. "A bridge between realities, guarded by those who once sought to destroy it." "That's what happens when different species work together," Sarah replied. "We don't just solve problems, we find new possibilities." In the years that followed, the galaxy entered a golden age. The void between galaxies, once a barrier, became a frontier. Human ships worked alongside Night Stalker void hunters, protected by the very beings they had once fought. The Council expanded to include new species, each bringing their own unique perspectives to the galactic community. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth, first proven in a void maze trial, that trust, understanding, and cooperation could overcome any challenge, transform any enemy, and reshape reality itself. Sarah Chen and Eclipse continued to explore the transformed void, their partnership a living symbol of what was possible when fear gave way to friendship. They had not just saved the galaxy, they had changed it forever, proving that humanity's greatest gift was not technology or warfare, but the ability to bring out the best in others, even in the darkest of voids.